Hey everybody, this is Fernand Jimenez, and I'm just saying hi to the people that are going to be on the replay. What's up, people? Yeah, it's a Friday night, and as you know, I'm here in the workshop, but I'm taking a little break. I just wanted to share with you one of my awesome lessons that I learned today, this week too. Just to give you an idea of who I am, I'm Fernand Jimenez. I'm a night doctor, and I have decided that I am not going to be stuck in an eye exam office without windows for the rest of my life until I retire, right? Doesn't mean that I don't like what I do, but I love what I do, but I'm just trying to find a different lifestyle, and I'm creating that lifestyle by using the internet to position myself as an authority in that and in online marketing, because that's what I've been doing for the last 3 years, and it's starting to pay off because now I am master of my time, right? Pretty soon I'll be master of my money also. So that's what I'm going to share with you today. I'm going to share with you some of the skills that I've used that I've learned on communication, and I'm also going to share with you some of where I didn't do it, and that's why the communication went wrong. Okay, so what's today's lesson about? It's really awesome. Today's lesson was really cool. Basically, whenever you're talking to somebody, you have to make sure that you're interested in them rather than being interesting to them, okay? What's the difference, right? It's a big difference, okay? Because if you're interested in them, then they will open up to you and they will tell you what it is that they're trying to avoid, or what type of pain they're trying to avoid, or what type of pleasure they're trying to get to, right? And of course, you know, this is business. What you're going to do is you're going to find a way to see if, hey, you can provide them getting that pleasure or avoiding that pain, right? But before you get to that situation, you got to talk. You got to be able to get them to open up. How do you get somebody to open up? Well, the best word you could always use to get somebody to open up is their name, right? Their name is the most favorite word in the world. So the more you use somebody's name, the better that you'll be able to have them feel more comfortable, right? And of course, how do you get interested in the person? Well, number one thing you should always do is before you start talking to people, before you start going into a scenario where you will be talking to people, say to yourself, I am interested in these people. I am interested in them. I want to know more about them. If you say that to yourself before you start the conversation, before you enter into a scenario, you're already priming your brain to be open to them, to be interested in them, right? Now, I'm talking about also the opposite of being interested in somebody. And what's the opposite of being interested in somebody is to be interesting, right? And you know what? Our culture is kind of interesting because our culture teaches us that you have to shock everybody, that you have to be the center of the attention, that you have to be the flamboyant one, that you have to stick out. But when it comes to conversation, it's the other way around. And especially when you're talking to somebody who's a stranger, somebody who's like cold, that you've never met before, the only way you're really going to get them to open up is to ask questions, to be interested in them. If you're going to sit there and brag about this and that and that, and anytime they say something to you and then you use it to talk back about yourself, this person is not going to trust you, is not going to open up, right? Okay, so very important that you keep that distinction between being interested in somebody and being interesting to somebody, right? You want to go for being interested in them, okay? Now, I'll give you a perfect example of how this works and how if you don't follow this rule, the communication breaks down and even less chance of building a relationship and even less chance of this person becoming a lead, even less chance of making a sale one day, right? Okay, so I went to a UPS store to drop off a UPS box, right? And the guy that was working there was telling me about these boxes that they have. It's not a P.O. box, it's actually a physical address, so it's actually pretty cool. If you don't have a physical address, they can give you a physical address that they can receive so you can get your driver's license and all this stuff. So it was really cool. And as we were talking, I started telling him what I did, and he goes to me, man, you're a thinker, huh? And I was just like, yeah, you're right, I am a thinker. And then he's like, but not only that, what I see from you is that you have vision. A lot of people don't have vision, right? So right now, you could tell that it's pretty cool, right? At least in terms of my ego, I'm like, man, I must have impressed this guy. This is good stuff. But, you know, here's where I failed, right? I failed because instead of going towards the route of keeping him interested, me being interested in him, better said, right? I went for me being interesting. So what did I start doing? I started throwing up on the guy. I started telling him about this idea, this business, that business, and I could see his head spinning. Right? And I could see that the conversation was going nowhere, right? And you know what? Here's another little tip too. Whenever you're in a conversation and you realize that you've thrown up on somebody and you realize that you have just completely made it all about yourself, there's a way to salvage it. There's a way to salvage yourself. There's a way to salvage the situation. Really quick in your mind, you got to say to yourself, I am interested in this person, right? Because that means that you're going to go back to asking them questions. You're going to go back to, hey, tell me. He told me about his grandchildren. I never expounded on that. He told me about him working for the company 7 years. I never went there. I kept on talking about me. I kept on being interesting, right? Now, the place closed at 7 o'clock. I got there at 7:58 to buy a birthday card. He stayed open. Hey, Jamie, what's going on? He stayed open until 7:15. So I had his attention, right? He left. He kept me in the place open, right? But I messed it up. Oh, there you go. Thank you. But I messed up because I kept on making myself trying to be more interesting, and I kept on trying to impress him. And I could see him that in the end, he said, hey, you know what? It's been nice talking to you, but you have a great night. All right. So don't do the same mistake that I did whenever you're having a conversation. And remember, these lessons are not just for business, right? Because guess what? If you think that selling is only products and services, you got to think about it again. Selling is also in just conversations and relationships, right? So if you are having communication problems with the missus, with the mister, with whoever, right? With your kids, with your parents, it's because of that. You are not keeping it, you're not interested in them, you're trying to keep it interesting, okay? All right, my beautiful people, in a little recap, just to let you guys know what we talked about. We talked about when you're in communication that it's always better to be interested in the person that you're talking to, and that you do that by asking questions, keeping it about them. Oh, really quick before I do the summary, there's a nice little ratio. If you only ask people questions, you kind of come off creepy as like an interrogator, which has happened to me in the past when I've been in a room with people that I barely know. I sit there and ask so many questions that I've even been called out. What are you, a detective? So always, for every 4 or 5 things that you ask about them, give them one bit of your information. That way you kind of keep it a little bit open. Don't go off, but give them a little bit, right? And then go back to them. Okay, so in a recap, once again, keep it interested in the person you're talking to rather than being interesting to them. As always, my beautiful people, keep growing, keep sharing, keep loving. See those 2 right there that I see right there? Those 2 live viewers, those 2, they're on it. They're on it, and they're going to tear it up. You guys have a great night. I love you. Bye.